Hello everyone and welcome to FiST Chat, the vodcast that features discussions on the topics of film, science and technology. My name is Ben Warner and I'm joined in the flesh today by my good friend and colleague Steve Kern. How you doing, Steve? It's good to see you here.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Hi Ben, hi FiST Chat fans. It's fantastic to be in one of the greatest cities in the world here, Melbourne. And I caught the red eye to be here. Ben's taking me for a coffee afterwards.
Oh, it's all good here, it's all good. And one of the reasons you came over was to see the Wallace and Gromit exhibition, which we both went to see this morning. And we'll overlay some photos of that. But yeah, it was quite interesting, wasn't it? It just something interesting to see, and the venue was quite interesting too.
The venue is very interesting. Our science works in Melbourne. But what was great, I think, was just seeing some of those sets, the animated sets. We saw some of the real ones in their little boxes, but also see some of them recreated full-scale life-size. So it was amazing.
Absolutely. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Now we'll move on to our main topic. Actually, we've got a bit of an astronomical sort of feel to everything we're going to talk about today. But
it's a big week this week in the heavens.
Absolutely. But we're looking at doomsday to start with. Milky Way doomed to crash with Andromeda. Over time, the huge galactic smash-up will create an entirely new hybrid galaxy. I think I've heard about this before happening, but it's not something we should really be concerned about, really.
Well, it's a bit like the sun going out. You know, if anyone's got 5 billion years to hang around, it might be a problem. It's interesting. I think what it does do is it reminds us that, our world, not just on planet Earth, but our position in the universe is dynamic. There's stars, planets moving through space, and our galaxy's heading straight towards Andromeda right now, and we'll have a whole new galaxy once they do collide.
Well, what's it saying here? It's our solar system will likely get booted out to a different position in the new galaxy. The collision will change our night sky dramatically if any humans are still around.
Well, that's right. Considering this is happening about 4 billion years' time, I think we'll all be sick of the night sky as it is. It'd be about time we got a new night sky.
Absolutely.
A new Big Dipper, new Pleiades, sort of thing.
We're sick of all that stuff. Yeah, that's right. But the interesting thing is, and this is something I think we're discussing today, was just this idea of how astronomers or scientists in general are able to determine these things, I think, in general, which is quite amazing. I know this is slightly off this particular topic, but the idea that you can figure out the exact compositional makeup of a star just by the colours that it gives off. And it sort of naturally leads to things like this, where they can determine, distances of galaxies, the directions of galaxies and all that sort of thing. And I mean, just as another example, if we bring in this sort of side topic we got here, setting the galaxy's age, that there's a new technique to show how old the Milky Way is. Which is amazing, really.
It is amazing. When you're talking billions of years, I think they're saying there that it's about 11.4 billion years of age. The universe is apparently about 13.7 billion years old. I mean, that's a long time.
Well, there's one interesting thing I saw in, I think it was Brian Cox was talking about it, obviously scientist into all the astronomical sort of side of things, and he said something interesting, which was that if after a certain period of time there won't be enough evidence for us to actually see what happened.
That's correct.
So it's possible that, for example, if we don't make it, for example, and say for life started up again and it took all that time to get through, that by the time that civilization got to a point where it would be able to sort of catalogue the heavens and do all of that sort of stuff, there wouldn't be enough light left over from the beginning of the universe to see what actually happened at the beginning of the universe.
That's right. And the other thing that would happen as well, a bit like what we're talking about with the collision of the galaxies, is that you wouldn't have the same starting formation. So at the moment what we can actually see are the remnants of the Big Bang. But as galaxies collide and shift and change shape, and we obviously only see the galaxy from our perspective, the universe is infinite in every direction, it makes it very difficult. You actually lose the train of what happened. An interesting analogy on this, which is sort of linked, is when we look at ancient DNA to see where humans evolved from, because there are such few indigenous groups left that haven't interbred, they reckon within 100 years they will have lost all the trail of the original DNA back to original human cultures as they evolve. So, and it's very similar to the way what's happening in the universe. You leave it another billion years or so, there won't be enough light left, and everything will be radically different. It'll be in its second and third phase of existence.
Absolutely. Yeah. But that's the strange thing about when you're thinking about studying the universe. It works on a level that doesn't seem to sort of gel immediately with the way we see the world, because the world is different on this, because we're sort of looking at it on this micro level, and obviously the universe is so infinite and old, and it's going to continue to go for a long time after we've gone. In fact, after all life has gone. So you can't imagine on that scale this sort of thing happening, but it's really quite amazing. But it is amazing that we can do all of these things. I just like how they're talking about a halo effect, and that's how they're able to determine how old the galaxy is.
Well, as you were talking about before, they can actually, stars, no matter how far away they are, they can analyse the light spectrum.
Yeah.
And that's how they can actually identify stars, and they can actually identify the planets that go in front of them now, with the planet searches that they're doing. And the light that passes through the atmosphere of these planets shifts as well in patterns, and they can tell the chemical compositions of the atmospheres. It's amazing.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So I think, as you've once said, Ben, chances are that maybe in another 20 or 30 years, and I think we're going to talk about this next, the SKA, which is the Square Kilometre Array telescope, which is now shared between Australia and South Africa. We may not actually be able to travel to these planets, but they will be able to replicate the environments for us near enough on Earth. And if you can imagine, with the digital technologies that we love and Hollywood loves, you'll be able to visit there without leaving your lounge room.
It's almost like Total Recall, really. You just implant it into your head and you'll be fine. You won't need to go anywhere. But yeah, maybe we'll just move on to that. The SKA, as you mentioned, is now going to be split across two different countries. We've spoken about it before and how amazing it could be. I guess it would have been nice if they kept it in Australia, but obviously the powers that be decided that it had to be split.
Well, the interesting thing is that there's probably two good news stories out of it. And one is that the geography of Australia and the geography of South Africa offer two unique opportunities. So the high-frequency dishes will be in South Africa, the low-frequency dishes will be in Australia. And together they'll combine. Now, the SKA is so powerful, it's 10,000 times more powerful than anything we've got today. The resolution is 10,000 times, greater. It's 10,000 times better than what we're looking at the skies with now. And as we're just talking about now, they're finding out these amazing things. And there's going to be 10,000 times more information. They haven't even created computers or networks that can handle that amount of data yet. They do say that it'll reveal more scientifically about our place in the universe than anything else that we've ever done.
But the amazing thing is that I think these tools are going to become invaluable because, unlike what Hollywood tries to suggest, space travel really just isn't so practical.
Not until we become immortal, Ben.
No, or we figure out our way to disassociate the mass from our bodies. Is that what?
Or just load yourself onto a hard drive and then
beam yourself across space.
If you're a file on a hard drive, then it won't really matter if it takes you 10,000 years.
So as a side thought, is that why we haven't seen any aliens yet? It's just that they're too far away to...
that would be the Drake equation, which is the likelihood of intelligent life on other planets that we could communicate with. And one of the factors in that is that they have to be around at the same time as us. So if they live, for instance... 3,000 light years away and their civilization has already ended, then by the time the message gets to us, they could already be gone. Or we could already be gone. Or we could then send a message back to them. But, there's 3,000 years in between.
So it becomes impractical again, doesn't it?
It becomes very unlikely that we'll find life
in that way.
In that way.
Yeah.
Which is why we'll find it in the solar system. That's a big prediction, speculative, but you heard it here first on FiST Chat.
Absolutely. All right, if we stick to, we'll go to our science topic, I think it is, and still sort of along the same lines, but if you want to see Venus, get ready. It's your last chance until 2117. It's coming up, and I believe it's in Western Australia, at least for people in Australia anyway. That
You'll be able to see it here in Melbourne. You'll be able to see, in fact, the best place to view the transit of Venus is in Australia. Because it occurs during daylight hours. So
fantastic.
Between the hours of about 7:30 in the morning, I think, and 3:30 or 4:30, this is Central Standard Time, so it might be 8.
So we'll just head out onto the balcony and have a quick look.
We'll probably not look directly at the sun. Get yourself a pinhole camera, or you have to get your super welder's goggles, minimum 14 blackness or whatever it is. Otherwise, don't look at the sun, ladies and gentlemen. But you will. If you did look at the sun, you would be able to see Venus actually move across the face of the sun. Now, it only happens once every 8 years. So it happened last in 2004.
Yeah.
And then now, after next Wednesday, it won't happen again for 125
That's
years.
incredible, that kind of a pattern, really. Do you want to just go through that story you were telling me before about that poor guy who was...
The French guy.
He was trying to get it the last time Venus came around?
In 1761, the first sighting, I think, was in 1639 or something.
Yeah.
It was the first actual sighting. There's only been 6 sightings of the transit of Venus in recorded history. This guy knew it was going to happen. He saw it in England. He didn't tell anyone, and then he told his best mate. But that's another story. Very fascinating. Actually, Google transit of Venus. Very interesting. 1761, this Frenchman went to the Pacific to watch the transit of Venus because it's the best place to watch it from. And Captain Cook went to Tahiti to actually map the transit, and then did the east coast of Australia on the way home, just as a consequence of that. However, Le Gentil went down in 1761. Unfortunately, due to the English presence in the place where he was going to go, he had to stay out on his boat in rough seas and could not make astronomical observations of the transit of Venus. So what does the guy do? He says, it's going to happen in 8 years' time, so I'm just going to stay in the Pacific.
Yeah.
And he did. And he just stayed there for 8 years. And then he a year out, he built himself an observatory on the island, which he originally was going to observe it from. Beautiful weather until the day of the transit, overcast. Poor guy went mad.
As you would.
Eventually returned to France.
Yeah.
Where he found that he'd been declared dead, his wife had remarried, and all his relatives had sold off all his belongings.
No, that's a sad, sad story.
Just goes to show it's an important event. Some people gave everything, for that.
So we'll wait for that story on, I don't know, maybe someone will do the same thing in the future. All right, we'll move on to our final topic, and again, space-worthy, but it's our film one, and of course, we've been banging on about Prometheus, I think, a couple of times.
Yep.
Definitely looking forward to this coming up next week, so make sure you go out and check out and see it, because there's no way Ridley Scott wouldn't at least make it look interesting.
And I didn't realise it was in 3D until today when Ben told me, so I can't wait to see it. Ben, are you going to go and see it in 2D?
Most likely, yeah.
Oh, what's going on?
Because,
It's Ridley Scott.
I love 3D and all, but, who knows? It depends on what's available. But
Don't tell me you're one of those guys that are going to go and see it twice.
No, not in the age of DVDs and streaming media, I don't think so. But I think one of the issues for me in 3D is if they've got if there's any sort of similarity with Alien, where if there's any sort of, I don't know, like a chest bursting type scene, even though they're probably not going to have that because it'll probably be something different. But if they do something like that in 3D, I mean, I think you nailed it on the head when we were talking about it before. It might look like a stupid gimmick in 3D.
It looked quite comic, wouldn't it?
Just imagine what that little alien chest burster would have looked like in 3D if it had been out. I don't know if that would have worked. So that's why I'm a little dubious about seeing it in 3D. But I'm sure that all the alien landscapes and all those big visuals, especially if you've seen the previews, I mean, that pretty much says it all. In 3D, they would look spectacular. I would think.
Well, Ben, we'll rely on you to go and see it in both formats and report back.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm going to have to pay to see this thing twice. I don't think so.
Might be that good.
Oh, absolutely. All right, we'll move on to our recommendations. And mine is quite simple. Following on from Prometheus, go and see Alien. Awesome movie. And we spoke about Blade Runner last week.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm mentioning that is that apparently, according to sources close to Ridley Scott, apparently he didn't make another sci-fi film after Alien and Blade Runner because he thought that he couldn't do any better.
That's a big call.
So he didn't want to pull out another sci-fi film that didn't measure up to those two films. And I mean, Alien's got it all. Its design is just amazing to look at. Sure, maybe people won't faint at chest-bursting scenes or throw up or do anything like they did back in '79, but it's still a pretty powerful and scary film, and definitely worth checking out, especially in light of Prometheus coming out.
Absolutely. I'm going to double that because my dad took myself and my younger brother to see it. My brother still hasn't recovered. I actually rank Alien as my all-time favourite film and the one that had the most profound effect on me.
Oh wow, well then absolutely make sure you check out Alien because it is a great film. Absolutely. All right, we're out of time, so thanks again, Steve, for the chat. Good to see you in the flesh.
Fantastic. You'll be taking me for a coffee in a second.
Absolutely. It's only we could take everyone with us.
I wish so. Down to the South Bank?
Absolutely, but maybe at some point in the future we'll be able to do that. Some sort of roving FiST chat type of thing.
I think that we should look into that.
Absolutely. So don't forget our website, www.fistchat.com. You can get all our links there. So that's it for this week's episode, and we'll catch you next week.